And welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. If it's time to talk about your retirement, let's get that conversation going. Give us a call, 833-368-3680. I think it was last week that we did a story about the 3 things that people in retirement wish they could do over again. And I think it was, I wish I would have saved more. I wish I would have taken Social Security a little bit later. And then the other one was about taxes. And so is this one. This is Fidelity, a study. They say 72% of the people that they talk to in retirement say they wished they had opened a Roth IRA earlier in their careers. They were using that 401k, but not the Roth. And they said they missed the tax-free growth and the tax-free withdrawals. The idea of taking that 401k, where probably most of your money is, and moving it systematically over to a Roth. So how difficult a task is this? Who is a good person for this? And what are the benefits of this?
All in.
Okay. Big question. All right.
Everyone in.
All
okay.
right.
So it's a really simple process. It literally takes one form to move IRAs to a Roth IRA. It also takes a couple of signatures if you're opening your first Roth IRA, and you can do them with any custodian that you can imagine or you're working with. Okay. So let's talk about some of the basic stuff. So when you have a 401k, you're putting money in, and if you're with a great employer, they're probably doing some matching. So all that money that you put in and that the employer puts in, it grows tax deferred, and you get a deduction off your income every year. So it's a beautiful thing. But eventually, this little seed you're planting turns into this beautiful harvest. This beautiful harvest is going to cost you more in taxes later than paying the taxes now. So that's what I want you to think about. You got this apple tree, you plant the seed, you watch this tree grow, and then you got all these apples, and eventually we're going to have to pick these apples or they're going to rot, right? So the Uncle Sam won't allow you to let it rot because they're going to make you pull them and pay the tax bill on them as you go. And that's forever and ever and ever. It never rots. So the only thing that could rot is the returns in your portfolio. And maybe you could possibly watch it going backwards because of the tax bill in the future. So I want to say, if you are working and you have a 401k, I would say 7 out of 10 times, I'm going to recommend that you ask your employer if you have a Roth 401k. So a Roth 401k is let's say you put 20 grand in it, your employer puts 5 grand in it, 10 grand in it. All the returns in that Roth 401k grows tax free. So when this big harvest blooms, you don't pay taxes on it, right? So you have to decide if you're going to pay the taxes now or later. And the biggest myth in retirement, Randy, is that, when you retire, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. No, you're not. 8 out of 10 retirees, they're in a higher tax bracket or at least the same tax bracket. We're trying to help you get to a much lower tax bracket or maybe even a zero tax bracket. We have done that for people, which is very fun to do. We got to do a little bit of work, and I need at least 5 to 10 years with you to really implement that plan. But we're trying to get to a tax-free season of life in the future because we have trillions of dollars of debt, trillions, and it keeps climbing. Anybody seen that debt clock lately? Oh my gosh. So, and the government is going to raise revenue by taxing you, and they're also going to try to cut spending, which I laugh at this moment, but maybe in the future, hopefully, so we can get a balanced budget. But right now we're in a deficit, and the people who pay, Randy, are the retirees who have IRAs, and this great generation is now going to be paying a massive amount of taxes, more than ever. And guess what? Taxes possibly could go up. Maybe they won't. Maybe we got a good 4 years till the next president. And then guess what? Maybe taxes go up then. But if taxes do not go up, this is like going to shop for your shoes and they're on sale. And hey, taxes are on sale, people. Take advantage of it, why we have it right now. So again, 401ks versus a regular Roth 401k. Now, let's say you're getting ready to retire. And even if you're not getting ready to retire, do you know that you can roll your old 401ks from old employers to an IRA? And then from there, we can start rolling your IRAs over to a Roth, and you just pay maybe a little bit of taxes at a time. Again, those IRAs will go into a Roth, and that Roth will grow tax free. So let's say you had $1 million today. And over the next 10 years, we rolled $100,000 a year out of it into a Roth. So you pay the taxes on that rollover every year, right? Maybe it cost you $20,000, maybe it cost you $40,000, but to save the big tax bill for the remaining 30 years you might live in retirement, I will prove to you based on our software that we have that 9 out of 10 times it actually makes sense to do that, because you're thinking, well, that's crazy. How do I pay for that rollover? And so we have a strategy for that. But you won't believe it until you see it. And it's in the eyes of the beholder. If you're somebody that says, Sharice, I don't want my kids to get any money, all this is going to charity, then probably doesn't make sense. Or if you're splitting it half kids, half charity, there's going to be a different number. So it's not cookie cutter, right? And so it's a simple process. It's just making that first step to educating yourself, which is what we do here at Zinnia Wealth. So we want to educate you first, show you the why and the reason, and then you get to decide what you want to do at that point.
So let's talk about the benefits of it, because we're going to go through a little bit of pain here because we have to pay these taxes a little bit at a time, and that doesn't sound fun at all. But at the other side of the tracks, I guess we could say, there is some benefit over there. So when we get into that age where the government says, now it's time for RMDs, you have to start taking money out of this 401k or this IRA, how does that help us down the line?
Right. So it specifically really helps both of you while you're alive, but then the surviving spouse, because people forget when one spouse passes, all of a sudden your tax bill goes up an average of 5 to 10 grand at minimum. And then when the second spouse passes, then we get the kiddos penalty, all coined by a financial buddy of mine who I love dearly. And then the kids have to deal with this big tax ramification because they can't stretch those IRAs for the rest of their lives. They got to cash it out now due to the Secure Act new rules. So we have to start figuring out, okay, so if you have $1 million in a retirement account and you die, you can almost say, based on today's taxes, that 40% is probably going back to your partner, Uncle Sam, and only $600,000 goes to your kiddos, right? This is this concept and example, but I've seen it happen a bunch of times recently. So the question is, if you're thinking, well, 400 grand, 300 grand, 200 grand, I don't want any of that going to Uncle Sam. I'd rather slowly pay the tax bill now, since I'm in a lower tax bracket, than hand over this debt that we owed Uncle Sam to my kiddos. So we want to strategize for that. If you want them to get that full $1 million, then we got to work on it now. And at the end of the day, what happens is that $1 million keeps growing and it grows tax free. And then you'll see that legacy get even larger in that tax-free bucket. And it's a beautiful thing. So we'd be honored if you guys wanted to come in, and we would, one of our advisors, myself, whoever, will do that tax plan for you. And I'm going to promise you this one time, that you probably will not see this anywhere else. And I had shopped the market for years for something like this, and it was very hard to get. And so now we have it, and we're proud of it. And it is more than just a pencil and a calculator and a piece of paper. It is real math doing the work for you very simply. You might say, I only want to roll 20,000. Some people say only 100,000. I got a new client who's rolling 200,000 because it only costed them $20,000 more to do it. So the math will show you. You get to decide and dictate.
There you go. Well, let's plug your numbers in. And that's one of the things that we talk about all the time, is having a customized plan for your retirement. You may have some friends that do this. You may have some friends that are totally against this. Well, let's do your math and figure out if it's right for you. If most of what you're bringing to the table, and this is the case with so many of us, most of our money's in a 401k, does it mean we're in a big tax trap? Well, let's find out. Let's do the math on that. Give us a call. Give us a look on our website. Start there. ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. If you click on that, you'll be on your way. Our team will reach out to you, or you can reach out to us right now. 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast. If you have questions or would like to begin the process of building a tailored retirement plan, call Zinnia Wealth at 833-368-3680 or find us online at ZinniaWealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Sharice Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and or categories usually do not deduct transaction and or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.